Hey guys, this is Turok, and in this video today I'm going to be reviewing One Piece chapter 1166. This came out, in the last chapter we saw the very end of the battle between Garp and and Among, I guess, technically, with them versus the possessed body of rock under the control of Emu. I find it funny that Emu didn't stick around after he felt he didn't need to. Like that. I guess. Well, we see here too. He left the God's Knights behind to make sure everything was cleaned up. We're gonna see. I guess the cipher pole must have been there too, because I didn't fully catch that part. But right here, it said about the hazard pay for the base member, the Navy members there, and cipher pole number 6. So I wonder if they had been there during this time, or if they were they came afterward too, that after the God's Knights even left to ensure see what else happened. But like actually, I think they say the island sinks. So there wasn't much to. Cause someone I saw, I heard it. I think it was Tekking when said it, and whoever he may have heard it from someone else. That that there was a theory running around that Moria's thriller bark is the remnants of God Valley, but I think they say it sinks into the sea here, don't they? Oh, it says in the new chapter maybe. But anyways, yeah, this chapter is going to be going over a lot of like what happens afterward, and I can't believe how many chapters this was. I think we had like 7 or 8 chapters now, and we're finally going to get back to where we started this one. The Harald and everyone. It's like we didn't see them at all after that point where he talked to Harald and asked him one more time, we didn't see anything at all. Was that 1158 or 59? So we had about 6 or 7 chapters of just the God's Night incident. And now I'm curious out of this. I was thinking over the weekend, like, I wonder if Roger ever met Harald at all. We know that the other members that joined that were with Rocks at the time, early on anyways, we didn't, I don't think Silver Axe ever met him. They were all, had met Harald when he went there to try and convince him to join. So let's get going on this. We are at the part where it's like, is that supposed to be rain there? I think it is. It's funny. So their hockey was so powerful it caused a storm to come in, and the very end of it was this combo attack by Rocks. Ace and Roger. Well, he's using Ace and Garp, and so I thought they just tore him up into total pieces, as it kind of looks right there, but somehow this ability, their attacks now wore off the curse, sort of as they call it here, the possession, I'm calling it, by Emu, which is something here I think we got to stop and think about, because that's going to probably be important here, that Oda foreshadowing this. And we kind of got the foreshadowing this, I think, from Scupper, and when Luffy and the others knew they had to go up there to face these God's Knights, and he mentioned something about be aware of how to use your haki. So, because the other conflict we have coming up in the present is that many of the giant warriors, led by Dorian Bragi, have all been turned into these possessed beings too. That was the first time we saw that. Now we understand here that it seems to be a possible way to reverse it. Yeah, we need to find out what that is. By the way, there's a great color pan thing that Oda did for this one, but it's showing the Straw Hats back in Wano, I think, during autumn. It's really, I like the color actually, because it's autumn here now, and where I'm in South Dakota, so it's we don't have as many trees that change color though. We're a lot of pine trees. So let's see here now. So we got the rainstorm going on. We see the other two, Garp and Roger, have passed out, and I guess Rocks technically was too, but he wakes up here, and it's like, oh, I gotta get up. No, he says who has the curse worn off. I'm assuming no that they somehow beat it out of him. Technically, I think that's what they even said. Can we beat it out of him? And it looks sort of like they did until Oda shows otherwise in the present how that's going to work. I'm assuming they somehow overwhelmed him with their haki to beat him. But unfortunately, yeah, right here the God's Knights show up. We can see Garling's silhouette very easily, and so we got him, Summers, and I forgot to get this one's name. It's Maffey. Yeah, I go back and find her name. They showed her name in 1161. Got Maffey, Garling, and Summers still here. It was unfortunate. That's one unfortunate thing too about this chapter. We didn't get to see the fights. There was something Whitebeard alluded at a past point that he had maybe fought with against Garling here, where we pieced the part of it being here together ourselves, and they didn't show any of that here. And the other God's Knights, we saw like four. Was it four? We saw the one that was almost some kind of looked like an animal skull on his face, and I forget the others they showed off the top of my head that was shown at about 7 chapters ago. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see any of that combat against them, maybe them against any of the other members of either the Roger Pirates or Rocks Pirates. We briefly just see Summers get kicked away by or attacked away by Rayleigh, but not a full-on duel, so to speak. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, that Maffey almost killed Dragon, but then there was no fight there either. And I kind of hope we can get something from that, and this it could be expanded upon here when this portion is animated and brought. We see it in the anime. This part of the story. See, what's he say here now? Wait, so Rox is like saying, "Will I be able to get out of here? Will I be able to leave this island alive?" But he sees the God Knights coming, and he knows they're there to finish the job. And he's like, "Well, I guess this is curtains for me." So he's thinking to himself, because he can't talk anymore. It's like he probably can't talk, and he's so out of it. But he's thinking, like, wishing them well. How do you say that? Thinking of them, saying like, "Yeah, thank you guys for saving me. I owe you now." And then we get this final spot here. Summers comes over. Not Summers. Is it Summers that does it? No, it's Garling. I thought it was Summers at first, but no. Got a hair there. It's actually Garling that does it. Garling comes out with his sword, and he gets the downward thrust, and we see this. We get the end of Rocks here, and man, it was something. This is so monumental now because we only got him for like how many chapters? Like we got more chapters in this flashback than we have in any other, I think, so many of them with him, and it's just something because we have a lot of influential characters that in these other flashbacks, like Harald or Bellamere, who influence the present characters. But this was just something because Rock's actions influenced so much of a broader implication of stuff with his presence. It's just something. And it's just so weird to see him gone now in here. But somehow, there's a little time lapse here because we saw the three of their bodies there together. Alone, and then it looked like the God's Knights were coming up with them, all three there, but they cut over to see that they, let me check, is this correct? Yeah, I got this other one here. Yeah, that's where they say that too. Okay, so Scopper and Rayleigh made it back, and they're carrying Garp and Roger, so they were able to get there, and I feel a little bad here, though, almost upset, a little that they couldn't grab Rocks as well, and they each carrying about one each. And maybe they came right after. The way they say this right here, Rayleigh does. It implies that they probably had to just get away with what they could. I mean, saving Garp and Roger, the way he says it, did Rayleigh only get there? Because I think this is Scopper that asks Rayleigh. like, where is Rocks? And I think Rayleigh's the one answering this. Yeah, you're worried about the enemy, our enemy? And Garp's listening like, well, wait a minute, I'm your enemy too. And almost like he's saying, let go of me. I wonder if he's trying to say, like, ugh, I'm being saved by pirates, let me go. This is embarrassing. That's what I feel like he's implying too. Unless he's trying to say, hey, you should have saved Rocks. Let's see. So, I think Scoppers are there. No, maybe Roger's there too. Oh, I didn't even notice that part. Okay, Roger's conscious, I mean. What happened to Rocks, Rayleigh? He asks, yeah. And so, yeah, as Rayleigh then tells Roger they killed him. Yeah, here's where I show this part. So this is what I was talking about earlier with the thriller bark. So, we get a wide shot here. I didn't double panel that one, but he drew it really well here. Where we see you can see a lot of little naval ships right there. Let's see, get my mouse over here. Over here, getting up there, waiting nearby. Yeah, there's one there with a Jolly Roger. That's definitely a pirate ship. So now this is where Oda starts opening up the stuff of the fallout here, and there's a lot to go over here that he's going to cover today. So this is looks like it's communications coming from the Navy ships, and then like hurry up, get out of here. The island's going to collapse. In other words, don't let some of those pirates escape. There's Roger's ship. Open fire. So then Oda starts narrating, absent from the pages of recorded history, like a curtain falling on a stage. The island crumbled in upon itself. Oh yeah, I did talk about curtain. I was thinking about making a thumbnail with a curtain on that. But I chose something else for this one. But maybe I'll make a secondary one. Yeah, like a curtain falling on a stage. Let's see. The island crumbled in upon itself. Yeah, so we got this great panel showing all the other characters affected. This is a great cover of all our main ones affected here. So we see Garp, Roger, Whitebeard, and Lin on the right side. And on the left we got Kaido, Dragon. How? Oda, did you do that purposely? You put the dragons next to each other. Shanks. Then we got Kuma, Ivankov, Ginny, and Teach, and what's his wife's name then? Was it Enid? Oh shoot, I should look. Eris is his mother's name. So we see her still holding him. Oh, that's right. She still had chains on though. Oh God, I hope she is able to raise Teach a little bit. So Teach seems later on very like stone-faced and very like a cynical person when he's young. When we see him when Whitebeard and Odin meet him later on. So I'm wondering if either Iris? Shit, did I say that wrong? I think so. Passes away when she's going to pass away. Because he's an orphan at that time. So anyways, so they don't even bring up, this is actually something a little interesting, because they're going to talk about Garp defeating Rocks here, but I wonder what Morgan said about the location, because we see that, two things, that Sengoku says, when Sengoku's talking to those other Navy officers, none of them know about the name of the island, or even know much about Rocks at that time. But also here, we saw in the last chapter, Saturn saying to other people on the ship, that island never existed. You hear me? You don't talk about this. Maybe they wouldn't even talk. I wonder if Morgan's hadn't got that information out, I wonder if they even would have like acknowledged officially that Roger was gone, that Rocks is gone, and Garp was the one that defeated him. I feel like Morgan's is the one who caused that bit of information to be leaked, and that if the Saturn and the others had their way, they would have just kept it from even that bit being brought out. So we get a good shot here. We see the other characters right after the incident. So Kaido looks like he just flew away. He figured out how to fly with his ability quickly. We saw when he got the zone, and we get shots of Roger and Rocks. Not Roger, Rocks. Garp and Rocks. Oh God, I can't stop saying Rocks. Roger and Garp are there, and so they I don't know how they must have. So see, yeah, Scopper was carrying Garp, so he must have got near a ship. Say, hey, I got your vice admiral here, and he had to book it so they wouldn't try to capture him. Not that any of them probably could deal any damage to him. You both see them in the hospital bed. You can even see IV there for Garp, and you just see the others. It's funny with Whitebeard. He's the only one that really seems to be looking on like, oh my God, what that was something like thinking about what happened there. He does look a little bruised up there now. Did he end up fighting someone? Because we only saw him with last talking to Marco's dad. And so we see Lin. She's looking like optimistic, like finally, now I can go back to finishing my dream. And Kaido too will start doing. We know Kaido though is going to be funny. I don't know when he's going to decide to go to Wano. It can't be too long after this. I don't think we got an exact time, but still at some point he's going to be in Punk Hazard where he meets King later on. So he's flying away though, and he probably lets himself get captured again because now that he probably doesn't want to go back to the full light because he don't want to deal with Lin screaming out all the time about her claim of a life debt. So he probably goes somewhere else to start getting food and stuff, and he didn't get away with any treasure, so he's broke right now. So Oda here then goes on to make some more like a poetic metaphor. Like after this brief moment of silence, the massive lightning bolt with countless branches split the sky, and it's created a number of new stories. So he's using like a metaphor, tree branches almost too, but like the lightning bolts are all these different characters going their separate ways now, and how this is going to affect the story. And this is a great shot here with the lightning storm over the God Valley as it's sinking into the ocean. Let's see. So now we switch to a little bit later, probably a day later, or days later, could be. And then so the other crew members are getting all antsy, and they're like, hey, let's check out the treasure. And then the other's like, no, we gotta wait for the captain to wake up. There's Glorioso behind Roger. I didn't even notice that my first read. So Roger comes out. He's all bandaged up, but he's got his coat on and stuff. The other's like, it's like a kid at Christmas. He's the dad, and the other's like, hey, Captain, look at all this treasure. Oh, look at that. So this is cute, yeah. So I wonder what point here Glorioso and Roger aren't going to be, because Glorioso still was fawning over Roger this time. We know nothing ever occurs out of that we know of. No long-term relationship anyways. And and the others are like, see, we're even successful in getting Shaki. And she's just hanging on to Rayleigh. And, at this point, Rayleigh's like, okay. And he's got his hand on. This is like I like this, too, because we don't get to see a lot of couples in One Piece embracing each other in any capacity like that. So this is a tender moment, I guess you could call it, with them doing this. And then they show Roger their haul. Like, look at all this treasure we got here. And so which one is Roger? I forget which one's going to be. Oh, it's that one there. So that chest looks different than the other. Maybe that was one of the chests. Was that supposed to be one of the ones that was probably the prizes? Maybe. And so they're about to open all this treasure, and they start hearing Shanks crying. And they're like, wait a minute, what the heck is that? And you got one of them saying, oh, wait a minute, that's coming from inside the chest? And they're like, what is that? And they open it up. You got Scopper, Rayleigh. Wait, who's that guy on the right? Oh, I thought that was John for a second. Anyways, they open up the chest here, and they see Shanks there sitting among some treasure. So we finally got the scene. We learned about this scene many years ago. Well, I learned it less than others, but I know this was something Oda provided us information on years ago, and we finally get this infamous moment. And so I wonder how many years ago that was. I'll look later. But years later, now we finally get this moment where Shanks is a baby is going to be raised on a pirate ship. Like, how many times has that ever happened, I wonder? So, that's next. So now we go to seeing some of the citizens around the world reading Morgan's account of the story. Oda's talking again. And it almost looks like that could have been what the Morgans put in the paper too. The downfall of the Rocks Pirates. And Oda goes on saying the story was, of course, heavily sanitized. So the government probably said to him, "Hey, we know you found out about this stuff, but you better not tell all the details that you heard." I wonder how much he figured out. Because some of the information came from Ginny, didn't it? But primarily must have been Ginny. She said she leaked out information to the world, so they would have known the location. And then Morgan's perpetuated it, and that's why I think we saw the Rocks Pirates reading it and the stuff about the prizes and stuff. So we get some reactions from citizens around the world. I like that one spot. It looks like it's a version of London because it got a clock tower that reminds me of Big Ben. Maybe I'm wrong a little bit. I was playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate recently, so this reminds me of Big Ben explicitly because I had to climb it at one point. So we see the celebration and the surprise of all these people that the Rocks Pirates are gone, and other people celebrating about Garp because it just talks about, like the note points out that the story from Morgan's focused on Garp saving the day here. And so now we go to the Navy HQ. This is the one on still the one where this would be on the, Paradise side, where Whitebeard comes later to rescue Ace. He just doesn't like this telling of the story, which is a little surprising. Like, I don't know if he's worried. Oh, well, I can think of one thing, yeah. I'm thinking he's not going to necessarily, I don't know if he would care, because he still tries to capture, he was trying to capture Roger, and I don't know if he still will explicitly, with true intent anymore. But I don't know if he would want the story to tell the exact truth that he had to work with Roger. My main thing I'm first thinking of is that he probably just doesn't want all this fame and the spotlight shown on him. As he says a little bit later on here with when Aokiji joins up, Aokiji wants to, I'm pretty sure that comes after this, because Aokiji is several years younger than Dragon, so I think Aokiji would be like 9 or 10 at this point. So he's probably just mad about the spotlight being shown on him, and he don't want that adoration. So he's jumping out of the hospital bed and screaming and ripping the paper apart and like, I don't want, what the hell is Morgan's guy saying this stuff about me? And then I think that's Sengoku there. He shows up in the next panel. That's probably him there. He's like, Garp, don't even bother. It's obvious that the government paid him off to write it that way. And this is probably the beginning of Morgan's becoming a big honcho in the news publishing business. I like where this conversation goes, but I'm trying to understand where Sengoku's going with his first statement here. That include the military. There were tens of millions of soldiers. What the hell does that mean? I don't understand where Sengoku's going here, but I kind of understand. It's just that Sengoku here talks about he has ambitions to rise to the top of the military, so that he can help save people and stuff like that. But Garp doesn't like that, and he's like thinking, you're just a ladder climbing fool, and they start fighting here, which feels a little bit like watching Sanji and Zoro. And Sengoku retorts to him like, "What? Oh, shut up! What good would it be if I'm just barking from the bottom of the ladder?" So like these metaphors, like you have to be at the top to have a voice to change anything. I kind of think what Sengoku's getting here is that it's not worth like looking at what these people are doing like this, and it's like, oh, okay, I think this is kind of getting at like him saying like it's not worth fighting all of them and all their corruption, and Garp just is like, no, we should be stopping them in any way we can. Obviously, though, I don't know if Garp would have ever intended to strike down one of those auction house places, but I like that Garp I do appreciate that Garp stayed here to help the military, but it's like, I wonder how much he was able to, because it's like he's just stopping pirates, whereas what Dragon ends up trying to do and what some of the stuff Luffy's incidentally doing are truly changing things because their actions are helping to stop some of the corruption. Because like by taking out Doflamingo, for example, Luffy stopped all this black market stuff that was harming other islands because he was selling weapons that are being used to supply whatever other countries might be at war. Actually, that's funny too, because that by doing that means he ended up helping the Revolutionary Army in the end from their and help and some of their efforts to help those other countries whoever side they would be on, maybe both to bring about some kind of peace of whatever war they were fighting over. So Sengoku's like, well, so does that mean you're gonna quit, Garp? And Garp's just like, no. Even at the bottom of the ladder, as you call it, or the cliff. I thought he said ladder. Didn't he say that? No, maybe he called. Oh yeah, no. Well, the ladder's what Garp used. The cliff is what Sengoku. He's like, there's plenty to protect from the bottom down there, as you call it. We can just really see. There's quite a. I'm surprised they ever talked to each other again, really, after this. But I mean, they've been friends a while. But definitely some hot blood here over how Hando being part of this kind of corruption. Oh, of course, right. No, that's what he's talking about too. Sengoku's probably saying like, it wouldn't have mattered, even though we're part of this military. It's so huge. There's inevitably going to be some kind of corruption there. We can't solve it all. He's probably trying to say too. That would be something interesting to talk about someday with Sengoku's story about what he tried to do and what stuff was going on. I know they couldn't do anything about the warlord system. He did voice his displeasure of having someone like Doflamingo being part of the warlord system at that meeting 2 years ago. So there's that to go for him. But there's like this stuff here, clearly like Garp is like this hunting stuff. I wonder if he ever tries to find out about any of these other ones and break it up somehow. Well, he couldn't do it openly because then they just call him a criminal. Anyways, so now we go back to Elbath and we see how Loki's taking this, and it is not well. He is screaming his head off in the underworld, and it looks like is he using Conqueror's Haki? No, I thought he was like destroying some of the stuff around him. It looks like he could be a little bit. Does he have Conqueror's Haki? I'd be surprised if he didn't. So he's thinking back to Loki's feeling bad that he wasn't there too, I'm assuming, to help Rox. Although he really, I don't see how he could. He's just too young. This is just, and he's thinking back to a time again when Rox visited to try to get Harald to join his cause. So this moment he's recalling is where Loki is asking to join on Rox's ship again, and Rox is saying, no, I have to keep repeating myself with you. I'm not going to take a kid on my crew. And so we see Rox, he's hanging around in the underworld probably, or somewhere there, and he's like, he must have just been trying to talk to Harald again as well, because he just sits back and seems like he's kind of frustrated, and he's like, what a mess. I can't get the guy I want to help whose attention I want, attention I want is how he says it, so who I want on my team, and now I'm followed around by his snot-nosed kid instead. And, they're by Ito's bar, it looks like. So this is where, so Rox probably Rox must know about Nika, because we know that Albathians know this, but he's like, Rox, I think you might be Nika. The warrior of liberation. He laughs as he tears down the world. And, this is the most interesting. This little tidbit here he's going to bring up is very interesting. Well, it says, I'm going to be king of the world. So I think he's trying to say, I don't want to tear it down. If anyone's got that kind of power, it's Harald. So this really surprises Loki. Okay, so he's bringing up the Galilea again, which is the shipwrights giants. I think this is the one they said is I gotta go look at that chapter later, where they're some of them might be frozen in Punk Hazard. They saw him there. Was that where it was? And so he's thinking that so according here to Rocks, there, if we could find those guys again and they would join back into the fold of under Harald, that they that would make Harald nigh unstoppable. And he says, and with my control of all the best outlaws in the world, the two, if we ever could team up, no one would be able to stop us. And Loki's like, wow, that's really cool. But why doesn't my dad want to team up with you then? And he's like, well, that's just because of love. Because he doesn't want to he wants to, he wants to work within the fold of the government and in the mold it's in now, the way it is, while Rox is trying to, I don't know if Rox, in a way this seems interesting because Rox is I wonder if this is what Rox plan to do could be similar to what Dragon's going to do, trying to do now, in that he wouldn't destroy the entire structure of the government, such some kind of the different bureaus or other things they might have that help run different stuff, like the Marines and that, and then he would only also had planned to just destroy the celestial dragon's control, and Emu especially, over the world, and lead it into a new era that way. That's also something that's interesting because as I brought the dragon parallel, does Dragon plan on having lead the world government if he's able to tear down, in his head, how he wants to tear down the celestial dragons from their control over the over the world government and the countries that are under their thumb. And then Rox was still saying here, yeah, I'll keep coming back and get him to join me someday. So that's probably okay. That's what I was thinking back when they had that big shout with all the people together. Rox with all that, when he finally got his full crew of everyone that joined. Why he didn't go up to the world yet? He was waiting for Harald, right? I keep forgetting that. He wanted to have Harald on his side before he tried to strike back at the world government at Marijwa. Okay. So, the last thing he just talks about is Rox is saying, yeah, I'll keep coming back. I'm sure I'll get him to see the light of my ambition someday. And he just ends there with Loki still mourning Rox's passing here. So now we go to near the end. We got a couple of pages here, and we go to it just is a certain island, probably one of Harald's allies that he's worked with, or maybe, and so he's venting here essentially, and someone says there's some assault. This is kind of misleading the way that read that though. There's been an assault, so they're confusing. Whoever said that is confusing the other person they're talking to. King Harald's causing an assault. Has he hurt any civilians? But it's like, oh well, actually no. What's going on is he's beating up another giant, this ruffian over here, and I was like, I almost feel bad. They almost feel bad for the other giant because he's like pummeling this guy, and he's already defeated him too, and it's like hard to watch. And so we get to Harald there, and the guy's still conscious at this point, and Harald's like, you don't understand your crime, do you? And the other guy's like, oh, never. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. I'll never pillage humans again. And he's like, no, you still don't get it. And we get this great shot here. He's very almost demonic looking, and his outfit's adding to it. He's got this Batman look to him, and everyone else is like, oh god, this is gonna get worse. Get away. their houses are all getting destroyed here, unfortunately. This looks like an island with not much area outside of that to do this, though. And then he starts beating the crap out of this other giant again. He's like, it's you scum, like you that are the ones that give all of the rest of us giants who are trying to do good a bad name. And then because of you, he's venting how the futility he's been having, the pushback he's been having as well of trying to work with the government. He's like, no one believes giants are good because of scum like you. And then he's talking to me like they won't accept. He's laboring on about how they won't accept him into the world government because of their violent past that many people are still fear. And so he also here, so he's also really upset because he's mourning over rocks as well. I should have brought up. And so he's still beating up the guy, and then we got someone else saying, Majesty, he's done. You stop. But he's still venting away. He's like, I wanted to join Elbath so the world government and the rest of the world would see that we offer a hand of, what would we call it, like an olive branch. But then he's now mourning, like, because of that path I was on, I also was in a position where I couldn't help my greatest friend. And now he's just, he's feeling guilty that he didn't join there and help Rox at the end there. So he was in a tight position there, and so now he's second guessing his position he held all this time in not aiding Rox. So gotta get him water. So he's in quite the pickle. We get this scene here. So now he's sitting there just basically screaming and crying himself. And it's like, I cannot turn back from this path now. I have to follow through. And I refuse to look over the evil of giants. And, so we get I think that's Oda just reading off a title Morgan probably published. So Morgan isn't helping the situation, that asshole. If I'm understanding that right, he's probably, the king of the giants becomes deranged. I know some of the other nations believe in him. It's just not enough of them there. So we get before we go to I think the final scene is going to go back to Harald, right? So here we go back to Navy HQ, and we finally get to see Garp and Dragon together. And this is the only time we've ever seen them. So Dragon's been arrested for when he I wonder if they're going to charge it with like treason or something like that for commandeering that ship and having them save those people that were being called the rabbits, as the celestial dragons call it for the game. And then also he probably beat up the other superior officer, which is also a no-no. But that, and then the saving citizens who weren't considered citizens anymore. We saw how some of them got shot at by the Marines a few chapters ago. And so Dragon's there, and Garp's visiting him. This is why is Garp always visiting all these people in the cell? He's got Dragon here, and then there's gonna be Garp Roger later, and then Ace. He's always meeting somebody he should be helping in a cell, and he does help here though. This is the only time. This is something though. This is very interesting because this is what he should have done to Ace, but of course Ace was impelled down, so it's harder. But Dragon says that, so Garp's come up to there, and Dragon talks first. I'm quitting the Navy. So then Garp can just tell his conviction, his son's conviction. He's like, I know. And then Dragon says, also, I'm disgusted with you. And Garp just can't look him in the eye. He's like, I understand. And he drops a key in there. So he aids in Dragon's escape here. And so this is probably the last time they ever talk to each other, ever, I'm assuming. And this is, so for 38 years, they probably haven't been anywhere close to each other. and it's gonna take for the next. I wonder where Dragon's gonna become. If Dragon forms that freedom fighters right away, possibly it's gonna be 16 years from now that he formally makes it into the Revolutionary Army after Harald's destroyed. Yeah, so we go back to Harald, and he is back at Elbath, and he's made a decision here, which is we'll get to in a minute. So he's talking to his wife Ida. Well, I don't know, she's not formally his wife according to these stupid Elbath rules. And he talks to Jarl and everyone else. He's like, it's time for me to set aside the measures I've been doing before, the half measures he's calling them. And he goes to Loki and Harald, and he's like, you are my sons. I love you, and I love you both so much. And you guys, I need you to work together to support Elbath after I'm gone. And so he leaves there, and I don't know if they fully understood this. This is interesting. We don't really see them. Well, no, we know they won't get the along together because Loki's going to get locked up later for being accused of killing Harald. So something here is going on. So we shift to sometime later where Harald is arriving at the Navy HQ on the Paradise side. And who's that guy? Is that one of the vice admirals? Kind of looks familiar. So he goes there, and someone sees his ship coming, and they're like, "That's a royal ship from Elbath." And then an officer's like, "My apologies, King Harald, but we're not allowed to allow you to port here." And so Harald gets off the ship. He ports the ship, lands the ship. Probably what I should call it, anyways. And he starts talking to there so that everyone can hear him. He's please hear me out and stuff. And he pulls his horns off in order to show his what would you call that, dedication to this, his frustration with that past. And everyone else is like, what the hell is he doing? And so he kind of like bows down there in front of the spot we're standing and says, please allow me to make atone for the 1,000 years of history of my people's mistakes. I want to make atone for that, what mankind has done to humans. And then he goes on, I wish to prove my oath of peace so that the children of Elbath can also lead fruitful lives without hurting anyone, so they can live hand in hand with humanity. So he reiterates, I want to atone for our sins, even if that means I have to be a slave. And it just ends right there, and we get the Eye of Emu hearing this message. I don't know if he would have heard it right at the same time, but he hears that message, and it's like, this is also, Emu wants to have the giants under him, so something here is going to go down, a deal here to have that happen. So we have to go back a bit on that. I think that I don't think he's going to actually become a slave, because he obviously then he's not leading his country, and this is probably going to be where he's going to he will accept terms given to him by the world government, even though it might diminish his authority or diminish other aspects of his country stuff. I can't think of the word, but it's gonna help Emu, because then he'll be able to want to conscript more of the, I'm sure, Elbath warriors into his the military, which would truly help him control the rest of the world. I'm going back here to 1152, and he said it's here 14 years ago. So this is how many years later is that now? 24 years later, I think. Yeah, he says here though. Yeah, Loki said no interest in dealing with a man who'd sell his soul to the world government. And yeah, he blames them for killing rocks. And it says, if the nation of Elbath is going to continue working with the world government, I'll become your enemy too, more or less. So something, it's probably going to be some kind of agreement that's going to be made with Gorosei and Harald that will allow the world, allow Harald to have Elbaf join in the world government, maybe even to Reverie. And for some reason, we got to figure out what. And hopefully, the next chapter or two will help figure out why. It's like at least some information here that of why Harald has been killed. Because it's he joins here, as we've seen in the other part of the flashback 38 years ago, but they're working together he's working with them for the next 24 years. 24 years. What? So that means Harald probably can maybe even join a few reveries. It would be more than that in 24, 5. He could have joined about 4 reveries. What? Yeah, it'll be interesting to still know what. Now it'll be interesting now to try to whether there's something else other than the devil fruit that Harald is supposedly possesses to because they say Harald made a mistake. So Harald, at this point when he gets killed here 14 years ago, he must have made some decision to reneged on their contractual deal, their contract, whatever terms he had originally is going to accept, and then they decided he had to be killed because they want to keep Elbaf involved in the world government so they can use the giants. So something there falls out, and something though in this sense then must not have worked out in their government's favor, because now they've had to wait this 14 years to try again and take over Elbaf by force, by sending the God's Knights because no king has been decided. Maybe that's probably part of the frustration. Maybe if Haruden had been allowed to become king through the rules of the Elbath, if the Elbathian elders had decided to make Haruden king despite being a bastard in their eyes, maybe the government would have been trying to seek an agreement with him to bring the Elbath into the fold of the world government again. Because they'll probably know for sure by now, but they would have known by that time that Loki's views of the world government were not going to allow them to have any favorable conversation with him, and so they would hope that Elbath would choose Haruden to be their king instead. But there's been not stalemate. There's just been it's been stagnant this whole time. Where Chief Jarl and whatever other elders, they're probably being the de facto leaders now for 14 years without a monarch on their throne, a new king on the throne. So I assume that's partially what's going to happen. Yeah. So Harald's going to accept some terms, and it looks like he must backtrack on them 24 years later. He realizes something is up. I wonder if they try to steal that fruit, and all right, let's see. Yeah, so we see that scene there. Yeah, so we see them killing him. Also, though, again, there's something confusing there. His horns are gone. I gotta find that chapter. I think he broke them off. I think he saws down the rest of them. Oh, wait a minute. He's all black. Oh, what if Emu came there and used Dome Reversi on him and forced the guards to have to kill him? I'll bet that's it. Also, let's go back and find that portrait of him. In this shot here from chapter, what chapter is this? 1137, where Rode shows a portrait of him to the Straw Hats he was with. His head had that scar there with the where the horns are, but when you look at when we go here, we see it looks like he kind of does cleanly break them off a little bit, but it's hard. It almost looks like a bit there. But anyways, yeah, he broke them off there. I have a hard time believing they broke off cleanly. He probably had to go down a little bit with some kind of buzzsaw thing. But Yeah, so something. Anyways, I don't know why I was going on about that too much. Yeah, he's gonna change his mind on some reason. That Emu and Summers both say something about that, about his backtracking of his decision, and so we gotta have something there. That's. I hope this tidbit, the terms. I hope whatever the terms show us in the next chapter. If they don't, because I don't know. I'm wondering how much they'll explicitly show of what happens that day when before the guards had to kill him. No, that's right. Don't they say Loki killed him? So they probably are only subduing him, and then Loki's gonna. Oh, dumb. Loki's gonna have to fight him. I think, right? Probably Loki ends up probably fighting his own father and having to kill him, and the information gets misrepresented. I guess you'd call it, to the rest of the Albathian citizens. So that's got to be it. Did we ever bring that up before? I feel like that's gonna be it. He's probably gonna be turned into a demon. In order to force him to fight Loki, and have. Oh, okay. Maybe they do that because then they want Loki to look like the bad guy, so the Albathian people would have no choice after Harald's dead to turn to Haruden and make him the king. But they're so steadfast in him not being eligible that we have this 14 years of nothing going on. And that's right, Loki's gonna flee and then get captured by Shanks later. And they won't turn him into a criminal because then again he's considered. He won't be turned into allowed to be king because they consider he committed patricide. And so yeah, that makes sense now. That's gonna probably be it. There's gonna be a whole point here where I bet Haruden's Loki's framed by the world government so that Haruden probably would be eligible to be the king, planned by the world government, but by the Gorosei. But the giants are stubborn in their law, and then now they're like, okay, well, we need them now. There's a tipping point here where we saw what the Gorosei was saying at Reverie. We saw what chapter episode was that? I forget now. When they went to see Emu, right before they talked to Cobra, when they talk about a cleansing of the world, and so they need the giants on their side again, and they've been waiting patiently, so to speak. And now they're like, no, we gotta change this now. Interesting. Okay, and so yeah, that was this very interesting chapter. It's like mostly the fallout part was interesting. It was cool to see the difference of what opinions about how to handle working in the government between Sengoku and Garp. I'm more on Garp's side of this kind of conversation in that we should, that I wouldn't want to work at the top. That I don't think that everything can be solved that way. That reminds me a bit of, who was that character? I think that's Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist. He aspires to be the head of that nation they're in. I haven't finished it yet, so I don't know if he ever achieves that dream. I'm pretty sure that was something he said early on. When he thinks if he can be the commander or whatever they in chief that of sorts that that other guy who's one of the bad guys really is part of that, he can change things for the better. And I was like, I personally don't think that's always a way to solve things. That you can't just have this top-down centralized government central power distribution in order to solve things. You have to allow other delegation of power among other nations and places to solve their own problems and do things that work best for them. Like what different laws that work in a city, for example, won't work for a countryside town. Things like that and other stuff like that. So anyways, that was still interesting to see how that went along. I wonder how Sengoku feels about that now. And yeah, that's about it then. It'll be interesting to see if we get anything else about where Dragon goes after this as well. Yeah, I'm going to leave that here for today. That was a great chapter, and I hope there's no break. It's going to be a break. I'll look later. Yeah, thanks for watching.